little bit of background, but what do we know about the actual trip so far?
Well, very little at this point in time, Peter. The government usually issues a statement when His Majesty the King travels, but this time around nothing has come out. We have attempted to speak to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, whose principal secretary is traveling with His Majesty the King, but as I said there, we had to rely on close sources of His Majesty who were only saying that as far as they're concerned, this is an overdue visit. His Majesty has wanted to touch base with President Robert Mugabe because of the relationship that he has with Lesotho, but particularly because of the relationship that he had with his father, that he considers him a father figure. And recent reports that we're hearing from this afternoon from Zimbabwe are that the elderly statesman seems to be ailing in health, and perhaps this is one of the reasons why His Majesty wants to touch base. But we have to wait for His Majesty or his office or the government, or even the government of Zimbabwe, to issue a statement or to see what he will engage in while he's there, to make a sense of what it is that he will be doing while he's in Zimbabwe. Peter?
Nthakoana, do we know what previous visits have resulted in between the two countries?
As I said, Zimbabwe has been quite instrumental in the upheavals in Lesotho, going as far back as 1994, which was the most prominent one as far as the royal family is concerned. Previously to that, the army had dethroned His Majesty King Mushasha II, and that was actually his second dethronement, because the BNP government had sent him into exile in the 70s, followed by the army government in the 1980s, which dethroned him. But in 1994, his son, King Letsie III, who's the king now, pulled what was termed a palace coup, where he was demanding that his father should be restored as the monarch, as he was still alive, that he would not rule the country while his father was still alive. And South Africa at the time, Botswana, through its president then, Kitumile Masire, as well as President Mugabe, intervened, brokered a deal that led to an agreement and even an act to restore the monarch at that time. So that was the most significant deal that we know that he has been involved in Lesotho. But following that, we saw him in the 1998 upheavals in Lesotho. Zimbabwe, again, Botswana and South Africa got involved, ended up sending troops through SADC to Lesotho to restore the situation at that time. But he has, after that, come to Lesotho on celebratory engagements. As the chairperson of SADC, he has also played quite an instrumental role when Lesotho went through upheavals, when he was consulted as the chairperson of SADC. So quite an intricate or an involved setup in terms of his involvement in Lesotho in the past few years. Peter?
All right, well, one thing I can vouch for is that there have always been people from Lesotho living in Zimbabwe. I just wonder if there's a Zimbabwean community in Lesotho itself.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the media in Lesotho is dominated by Zimbabweans. The biggest newspapers in Lesotho, the Lesotho Times, the Post, that we have seen that have made quite a vibrant contribution in Lesotho, are led and owned by Zimbabweans in Lesotho. But also in the medical field, there are lots of Zimbabweans, and the education field as well. So quite a vibrant community of Zimbabweans in Lesotho, and working for international organizations as well in the country. And we see some Zimbabweans who work for international organizations outside of Lesotho coming to Lesotho quite often. And a lot of them, actually, when we started reporting that the king would be going to Zimbabwe, some of them very skeptical whether or not President Mugabe, because some of them have left their own country under circumstances that meant that they were not comfortable living there, saying they doubt that Zimbabwe can play a crucial role in terms of the recent upheavals or challenges that Lesotho is facing. But of course, again, mixed reactions all around in terms of whether or not the king of Lesotho can still get wisdom from Zimbabwe for the challenges Lesotho faces. Peter?
So I guess it might be a personal visit for His Majesty King Letsie, but I suppose, and I'm wondering, is this a visit that resonates with the Basotho, given the Zimbabwean community that's there and the movement up and down? Is it a visit that they're watching and interested in?
Oh, absolutely. As I say, mixed reaction in terms of why or whether it can be effective, because when we said the possibility is that he's visiting an elderly statesman for wisdom, some people saying they don't know if in fact he can get wisdom from Zimbabwe, but great interest in terms of what it is that can come out of this, especially because of, as I say, the history that Lesotho and Zimbabwe share, but also specifically because of the recent developments in Lesotho. Lesotho is going to early elections, and His Majesty the King, we know in the past, has asked President Zuma, in his capacity as chairperson of SADC, to intervene when people didn't think that he would do that, subsequently leading to the involvement of Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa as facilitator. But whether or not he will discuss state issues and political issues, whether in his capacity as a president or just as a father, we await the outcome of this visit to establish what they will get to, the two of them.
Nthakoana, that's where we'll leave it for the time being. That's our reporter in Maseru there, Nthakoana Ngatane, who's following this trip by King Letsie III, who's traveled to Harare to visit with President Mugabe. And we'll get more from her as this story unfolds.